Hello everyone, welcome to our last demo. Let me get myself situated here. Take a drink of water and see if I can keep this nasty dry cough from interfering with me today. Who's excited? Welcome, Heather. Hello, Miss Mary. We are here for another fun demonstration. Today, we are going to be talking about jar toppers. Specifically, we'll talk about the jar topper that you're going to get today. You're going to earn in your demo. We have a few options of jar toppers that are available to us. These toppers, hi Miss Deanne. We have one full design collection, and I just realized I left the tags at home drying on the drying rack. The holiday jar topper and gift tag collection that arrived this year. It's brand new for us. There are, I think, 6 designs for the jar toppers on there, and then there are 14 different gift tags that are available for us. The concept of the jar topper in this collection is going to be identical to the context or the concept of how the jar topper is made for your poinsettia. And so once you have your poinsettia made, you'll know exactly how to make all these jar toppers. They're just so cute. Hi, Miss Deborah from Ohio, Miss Jan from Minnesota, Miss Deanne, welcome. So beyond the design collection, the holiday jar toppers and gift tag design collection, we also have one digital dealer download that is available as well, and that's Halloween related. That's the bat jar topper that we have. He comes in 2 sizes, just like all the jar toppers do come in the 2 sizes. And then we also have coming this year, this year, it's not 2024 yet. In 2024, we'll have another jar topper that is St. Patrick's Day. And that will be a digital dealer exclusive as well. So you'll be able to download that, purchase that from my website, and download that in the month that it becomes available. And I want to say February or March, one of the two. But I think those little legs are super adorable that are sticking out of that jar topper. If you've also been to the Treats for My Boo Kimberbell event, you gained 2 additional Halloween jar toppers in that event that are exclusive to that event. There is a spider and a scaredy cat that's in that design, that embroidery event as well. So we're going to focus today on jar toppers. I want to kind of go over my tips and techniques for putting together this jar topper specifically, but I'll also talk a little bit about the other jar toppers. So with your download today, you're going to get full color instructions step by step, just like Kimberbell always gives. And all the jar toppers are going to be 2 hooping projects, okay? So the first hooping that you're going to stitch is going to be the dimensional parts of the jar topper, okay? So the 3 petals, and the little leaf. And the leaf and the 1 petal that you see here at the top with the little scrolly decoration in it are done with felt, and the bottom 2 are done with velveteen. I also have some things to think outside of the box and using other things for these. With stabilizer, we're going to use the Aquamesh wash away. You need to use a wash away stabilizer. And in the Bernina world, the hoop size that we would use if you're making, whether you're making the regular mouth or the wide mouth, you're going to use the large oval. So your 5x7 hoop is going to be the hoop of your choice for part A. So let's look at part A, and you need to think kind of outside of the box for texture. If you don't want velveteen, or maybe you don't want felt, maybe you don't have that felt, or that velveteen is not available, i.e. the white velveteen, we have some other options for you. And what I've done is I have stitched some of those options for you. So let me, well, isn't he just so cute? Pull that up for you. Okay. So these were done in the traditional. So this is your hooping A, is the large velveteen petal, the large felt petal, the small velveteen petal, and then the leaf that's there. And in experimenting with some of the other textures and things that are available, hi Miss Rochelle, we have some other product. You know, Kimberbell is known for applique glitter sheets, right? So that's the pretty shiny glitter that has a fusible to the back side of it. It's got glue on the back side, heat activated glue. So if you wanted to use this for a petal, I recommend ironing it to a piece of fabric first. Okay, so this has been ironed to a piece of red fabric. This is actually the red dotted applique glitter that she has, but you could use the solid. That was just a scrap piece that I had. I took the white dot and I ironed it to the back of a pink fabric. So if I did, it'd just be a little white and pink, little dusting of pink that's in there, and then use this like it's a piece of fabric. Okay, you don't want to use the applique glitter all by itself. You need to fuse it to something in order to use it. But I thought that made a really sparkly petal. Okay, I also would suggest using that for the large petal and the small petal that have the satin stitching around the edge. Okay, this middle petal is the one that's done with felt, is raw edged. So there's no satin stitch or finishing that happens around the edge of that. And so if you were using this with no finishing, the fabric may ravel over time. So I would definitely use this for the petal that is satin stitched. She also has embroidery leather. Okay, so Kimberbell, we know her as the embroidery leather as well. Okay, I've got one for you, Miss Mary. 1 second, we're going to talk about it. Embroidery leather. So here's a petal that does the embroidery leather. Would be perfect for that felt petal because the embroidery leather doesn't ravel. So it's perfect for putting into, let me get rid of that thread because that's bugging me. Perfect for putting in there and then not having to finish the edge. So I did that not only for the one petal, but I also did it for the leaf as well. They're fairly, I don't want to say thin, okay, but if you wanted, you could put another piece of leather on the back. So for example, I sandwiched this piece when I made this leaf so that if anybody did see the back side of the leaf, it was the same, because the back side of embroidery leather is not the same color on the front as it is the back. Okay, so that looks really cute with just a little touch of sparkle that's there. The other question that we had with embroidery leather here is you could also use it for the petal that satin stitches. So that's the other thing about embroidery leather, is that when you cut embroidery leather, the side of embroidery leather is not the same color as the top of embroidery leather. Some of them are less obvious, okay? So The green doesn't really show as much, but like the red leather, it's really obvious when you cut the red that it is not red on the other side. And so I would use some of them, I would use with the satin stitch setting. Just because you use a velvet for one doesn't mean that the other has to be velvet, okay? So as an example here, so yes, the very small petal and the largest petal are done in the same color stops, but that doesn't mean they have to be the same fabrics when you embroider them, okay? So you could easily take and put a piece of, velveteen here and then do this petal with a piece of applique glitter, okay? They don't need to all be the same. That's in there. The question that we had was, what about OESD's sparkle vinyl? Works just fine. The sparkle vinyl is, let's say, the Kimberbell applique glitter and the embroidery leather joined as one. Okay, so the OESD sparkle vinyl, the sparkle is already in the leather, so there's no fusing or anything necessary. So there's a petal there with the leather sparkle vinyl. Okay. If you like the texture of velveteen, let me just lay all these here so that you can see them. What about, we all have plenty of cuddle, right? Scraps of cuddle. These leaves, or these petals, excuse me, are done with scraps of white cuddle. Works just as nice. Okay. The only thing is when I did the cuddle, I did place a piece of wash away topping over top of the cuddle prior to running the stitching, just to help keep the nap of that fabric down. The velveteen doesn't have as much of a nap like the cuddle does, but they could also work as well. So we've got, cuddle, leather, and then there's another little cuddle option as another option for, and he looks beautiful even without it. This one is a boo-boo with threads dirty with velveteen, but that is another option. So don't be afraid to try other fabrics. You could also just use fabric. It doesn't have to be velveteen or cuddle or anything along that lines. It could just be cotton fabric. Just a reminder though that those ones that call for felt are raw edge, so probably not the best place for you to use fabric. You want to use something that's not going to ravel. Okay. So once we work through all the steps of completing hooping A, okay, so again, you're going to lay down your placements, you're going to put your fabrics in place, you're going to work through cover stitching everything. Take all your pieces out of the hoop and rinse out the wash away, okay? Once your wash away is rinsed and everything is nice and dry, we will start on hooping B. But before we go to hooping B, I want to talk about some machine settings, specifically thread away and jump stitch cutting, because this wouldn't be a demo if I didn't teach you something about your embroidery machine, right? So on the embroidery plus machines, those machines that have embroidery plus upgrades or have plus in their name, contain a function or a feature called thread away. And some of you may have seen thread away or have already since turned it off, but thread away is when the machine cuts the thread, it kind of quickly sweeps one direction and then comes back. And the purpose of that is to pull up the thread tail so that when it comes back over to the next location and it starts stitching, it takes the thread tail underneath. So it really is eliminating that unintentional jump stitch. It's not really a jump, because sometimes you'll have the machine will cut at one point and then jump over, but it's not far enough to pull the cut tail up. So thread away is meant to do that. Now, I would opt to turn off thread away when I start doing dimensional assembly. Because what's going to happen is we're going to start building this, and the machine is going to sweep away and come back, and it's going to end up grabbing one of your petals and folding it over, okay? So we want to turn that off. I suggest turning it off, okay? And I'll show you where to turn that off here in 1 second. And then we're going to talk about jump stitch cutting, because you have the ability on your machines to adjust or alter what the machine considers a jump stitch. So we can go into the machine, and right now when we go in, this machine is set at 6 millimeters, meaning that any point from point A to point B in a thread end to a thread begin, if it is greater than 6 millimeters, the machine is going to insert a knot, cut the thread, jump, and then tie another knot and start embroidering. Now, some of us don't like cutting jump stitches at all. And we will come in and we will knock this all the way down to 1 millimeter. And that's fine. But it's usually where you're going to start running into problems when you're embroidering small things with knots that are very close together. And I'm going to show you the difference between it. So let's come on over to the machine just so that I can show you where some things are located. So on your machines, you have your gears or your personal settings. And some machines, that setting sits right to the right of the screen. Some of you will have to hit the home button down on the bottom, and then this function will be in the lower left-hand side of the screen. Either way you get to it, find your personal setup, and we are going to be looking at settings related to embroidery. So we're going to open up embroidery settings, and the first one I'm going to look at is jump stitching or thread cutting in general. Okay, so I'm going to open that up. And the very first one on my screen is jump stitch length. Most of you are going to this will be the last option that you have there. I have it turned on, okay, so green line means that it's turned on, meaning that any distance greater than 6 millimeters, I'm going to cut. I can go all the way up to 15, and I can go all the way down to 1. And you can make adjustments to whatever setting you want it to be at, okay? The second one is turned on. I'll just talk about it. This is cutting the thread tail between color stops. That means when it finishes color blue, the machine will stop, cut the blue thread so that you can put on the green thread. Okay, you turn that off at the end of a color stop. The machine's not going to cut your thread tail for you. You have to cut it. The very last one here, the scissors with the hand. If you've been with Bernina for a while, back in the day, we used to touch the start button. The machine would run 6 or 7 stitches and stop for you to cut the thread tail. That is this option. If you like that feature, you want to hold on to your upper thread, let the machine run a few stitches, have the machine stop so that you can cut the thread tail. You want to turn this on so that it is a green line. If you just want to hit go and the machine just go and not stop at all, you want this to be the red circle, means turned off. Okay. So those are your jump stitch cutting settings. I'm going to come back out to my little cookie crumb up here, back out to the embroidery hoop, and here is thread away. So the icon with the needle with the 2 directional arrow, if it is turned on, green line, the machine is going to perform the thread away function when it cuts a thread and has to move to a new location. I would turn this off for anything that I'm doing dimensional. I actually turn this off for anything that I'm doing that is floating on top of the hoop. Because a lot of times it'll sweep away and come back, and it'll just grab the edge of your project, especially if it's not basted down in the hoop. Okay, so you could leave it on, and if you start having problems or things like that, this is where you turn it off. Okay, we're going to open up the design. You have the these are your hooping 1, or part A is the ones with the flowers, and part B's are going to be the 2 functions, the 2 designs that just have the round circles. Okay. So with part B, we're going to load our hoop with poly mesh cutaway, a light mesh cutaway. It's going to stay in the design. If you're doing regular mouth jars, you're going to use a medium hoop. If you're doing wide mouth jar designs, the small clamp hoop or the large oval, okay, will be the hoops that you will use. Okay. We are going to need our foam. So you need a piece of foam that goes underneath the base petal. Flexi foam, Annie's Soft and Stable, Pellon's foam. This is how I get rid of my scraps. The scraps that I have from all my Annie's bags and things like that. This just a small square, I think 3-inch squares. We're going to need another piece of felt for the base flower. Again, can be fabric, can be anything you want. For the most part, you don't really see that flower petal, so that would be just fine. And you're going to need a piece of base fabric. Again, not really going to see it. Going to be really covered up for the most part with the all the petals. So let's take a look at this design. So I'm going to open it up. We're going to put on. Okay. We're going to pretend like we're stitching it. The first thing that's going to happen is the machine is going to run a placement line directly into the stabilizer. Directly in the stabilizer, run the placement line. I did this all in white thread because my background fabric was white. Okay. You're not going to see any of this first bout of stitching. Once you've run your placement line, you're going to place your piece of fabric right side up, covering all of that. And then the next thing that it does is does this tack down. I don't like it doing this tack down right away because it's a lot of stitching and I want to just put my fabric there and I kind of want to walk away and do something else. So what I do is once I've stitched the placement line, you know, the machine automatically jumps to color 2. I'm going to go back to color 1. I'm going to run that again after I put my fabric in place. So I'm going to put my fabric right side up, back it up, run color number 1 again. That's going to run the other simple quick circle so that my fabric is held in place. Then I'm going to run this tack down. It's going to stitch these little Christmas trees all the way around. Okay. And it's going to be also our cut lines that we're going to need for later. Okay. In color number 3, it's going to start appliquing the petal. We're going to need to put foam in place. So we have a placement line. We place our foam right side up. We tack the foam down. Well, there's no right or wrong to foam, Amy. Place your foam. Lay it down. Tack it. Trim it, and then you're going to run the placement line for your felt. Put your felt down, tack your felt in place, and then trim it. Okay. Then what starts happening is placement lines for your design, for your dimensional pieces of your design. And the machine is going to stitch this little, what looks like a clock. It says 9 o'clock right there in the center, and it's got this little triangle-y thing here on the side. This is where your leaf is going to go. So you're going to take the tail end of your leaf and you're going to put that into place right inside of that placement line. Now I run this placement lines all in the same color as my base flower so that you couldn't see it even though you're going to cover it up. And then once we've run the placement line, we put our leaf in place, and then we run the tack down. It's just going to run this little straight line right across to hold this petal in place. So let me show you here. Okay. So here is, let me see if I can zoom in a little bit more because, you know, Can never get close enough. There's the little line that I then placed my leaf right side up, and then there's my tack down. Okay, it's right there. I just did it in red. So you can see, here's my base. I did this one in red. There's your Christmas trees that are there. This line is what we call the band placement line. Okay, so it's there to help you line up the band of the top of the mason jar. And then this is my applique item. Again, it's not a finished edge, it's just straight stitching. So you just want to be aware that, you know, there could be some raveling or fraying that happens. We're going to run our leaf, tack our leaf down, and then in the middle here, okay, we have another, let's see, can you see it? There is, oh, you can see it on this one better. There's our clock, okay? So basically, we're going to line up these pieces together. Okay, so you've got your leaf in place. We're going to take the base petal, we're going to lay it on top so that the 9 o'clock matches the one that tacks down, and then you're going to tack it in place. Now, in the instructions, she has you take and cover this with a piece of wash away topping, and you do that every time you put a layer on. So you're going to put this one on, line it up, put down a piece of wash away topping, stitch the tack down. That is just going to stitch in the center. It's going to stitch that same little design. You're then going to take your next petal, you're going to line it up, put a piece of wash away on top, and then tack it down. Okay? I did not do that. That to me is a waste of wash away. If you turn thread away off on the Bernina, okay, if you turn thread away off, it's going to run that design and it's not moving. The hoop's not going to move, it's going to stay right where it's at. I just carefully put this one on top, ran this portion of the design. Okay, so I skipped that step that has you lay these wash away toppings down every time you add another layer. Okay. Once you've got this petal on, the design is finished, okay, because this petal gets glued on. Okay, that's there. Now, while I'm looking at this, when I talk about thread cutting earlier, okay, jump stitch cutting, I did not have the machine cut my jump stitches here. I have no problem coming in and clipping these tails. The reason for not cutting these jump stitches is that is a very tiny little dot. It ties a knot, stitches this, and then it wants to tie another knot, right? And then it's going to cut and jump. That's a lot of knots right in one place. I have a very pretty back if I don't cut jump stitches. If you cut your jump stitches, this is what your back looks like. Now, for this project, it's not a big deal. It's going to get glued down. Nobody's ever going to see the back of it. But if you're stitching these little candle wick stitches in the center here and you're having problems, turn off your jump stitch cutting. Okay, deactivate the scissors, the little scissor icon on your screen, so that the machine will not cut them, and that will stop inserting all those extra knots inside of a very dense little area. Okay, so once you have your design finished, and I'm going to grab this one because this is what he looks like. You're going to take him out of the hoop. When you pull him out of the hoop, you're going to trim as close to that outside stitching, okay, line. Okay, so that's what I've done here. I took it out of the hoop, and I actually could trim a little closer to here. No one's going to see this because this is going to be inside of the jar. Let me back it out a little bit. Okay, it's going to be inside your jar. Glue, I just used hot glue. And the only reason I use hot glue is because it dries faster. I can put my hand there, push down, and then when it, 30 seconds later it's finished. I found using like liquid glues, I kind of needed to either stand there and hold it while it cured a little. So I just did a little dab of hot glue. But if I'm going to use a glue, it needs to be a permanent glue, so like E6000 or something along that lines. But hot glue is what I used. Okay, let me open a jar. You're going to take your band, your lid, okay? Your lid is going to go on the back side, inside of that banded edge, that line right there. That's your band placement. So this just kind of helps you get it centered. I would use some double stick tape, a glue dot, like a scrapbook glue dot. I would use, let's see, hold on one second. A little dab of hot glue if your glue gun is still heated up, just to hold it so that you can, let me dig out a piece of double stick tape here. Just to hold it so that it doesn't want to slide left and right. So I just have a piece of double stick tape and then I'm going to run right through the middle. And then I'm going to just kind of push it together. So now it's not sliding all over the place on me, okay? Then we're going to take this ring down through. It is very, very tight, okay? So kind of pick all your petals up and feed them in. Just be patient. It'll get there. And then you just kind of push it up. That's going to hang out on the underside. So don't use this in a liquid, okay, because otherwise it's going to soak into it. And then screw on your jar. Look how cute. So here are the two sizes. This is your regular mouth and your wide mouth. They do not have to go into jars. They can also go into bamboo hoops. Here he is. The wide mouth jar is going to be the one that you want to use for the 3.5 inch bamboo hoop. If you want to do the smaller design in a bamboo hoop, it needs to be a like 2-inch diameter bamboo hoop if you want the smaller designs inside of it. Okay, so this is your design here. So just as a note, wide mouth for the hoops. If you are doing the hoops, I would skip the band placement line. Now, in the, which is hard to do in the poinsettia, because in the poinsettia, they have grouped the band placement line with the outer tack down. With the poinsettia, it's a tighter squeeze in the hoop, but when I show you the other designs, they're done separate. But you can, if you remember, if you have the ability, you can break it apart. There it is. I'm going to hit break apart again. Now it's broken apart, and I can change this to another color, or I can delete it. If I'm not going to put it in a jar, I don't need that line. Okay? And so that is just an option for you to skip. When you get into doing the other jar toppers, and I'm going to show you because they're just adorable. I spent all day stitching these out for you. Hold on, let me get them all in line because they're just, I have done more embroidery in the last 3 months than I have probably done all year, just with the way that things go. But here's my family of jar toppers. Aren't they just so cute? So I've done them, and I'm so sad I left the tags at home that they make, because the tags are way bigger than what they look like in the picture. So this is the Holiday Jar Topper collection. Just like your poinsettia, it's going to come in 2 sizes. So all the designs you're going to have in the regular and wide mouth size. In the elf, you have the option to add braids for her if you want, or leave them off. His ears and his hat, their hats are dimensional. Okay. The snowman, his hat is dimensional. Santa's hat, his beard is cuddle or textured fabric. Our reindeer, his ears and his antlers, you make the tiniest little lace antlers. The gingerbread, you've got dimensional hands. You can put the bow here or in her hair or at his neck. And then you have the mouse, which his ears are dimensional as well. Just so cute. So cute. That's there. And so that is the Holiday Jar Topper collection from Kimberbell, which is up for pre-order. I have another shipment that should be arriving hopefully this week to get you through the holidays, but now I just got to go figure out what I'm going to fill in all of these jars to give as gifts. It's the perfect thing to hold. We found these really cute fluted jars from Ball. Thought hot cocoa mix would be really cute. Then I found yesterday, these are stackable mason jars, so they kind of look like Stanley's. Would it be cute with like maybe some sort of like, if you've got a protein powder drinker out there or something, or a smoothie drinker, something in your life, this cute little mason jar. I love a good glass jar, so I prefer to drink out of glass than anything. For what's coming soon, as we wrap up our adventure in Demo December, I know, what am I going to do without you guys the next few Wednesdays? So let me talk about a few things that are coming soon. Cranberry tape dispenser will be arriving. So we have a new color and a new design tape dispenser. So if red is your thing, he will be arriving here in a few weeks. Designed to hold the Kimberbell paper tape that's in there, so we'll have those up and available. We have a fall winter felt collection that's already available. The spring summer felt will be also coming very soon. And then excuse me, let me take a drink of water. And then for 2024's Kimberbell events, the first one up will be the Easter tier tray that you see there on the right hand side. The actual tiered tray comes with the event as well. And we work through multiple projects for filling your tiered tray. And that will be both, definitely will be a virtual event at the moment, and will possibly be in person as well. But as a virtual event, let me just explain. The way that I do virtual events is I actually film step-by-step videos for every single project. And on the day, a few weeks before the event, I send you thread charts and stabilizers that you're gonna need, anything that you may need in addition, hot glue, anything like that. Then you will receive on the day your kit will come. And then on the day the event starts, you will receive links to all the videos. These videos are there for you to watch as many times as you need when you need to do it. If the time of the event doesn't work for your schedule, okay, you will can do them at any time. I typically leave the videos up for probably 6 months to a year, and it's usually a year that I leave them up. So you have plenty of time to be able to do the question is, for pre-order items, I'm new to embroidery, when did they come? They should be arriving here in my possession. So if you pre-ordered mug rugs, they should be arriving here this week with the Holiday Jar Topper collection as well. Virtually, the event stuff usually arrives the week before the event starts. So the kits come to me and then I turn around and ship the kits out. So they should be in your possession, hopefully a week prior to the event starting, that you'll be able to do that. Kimberbell also launched another one-day event. This is a two-day event, so there's a lot of projects. Usually two-day events are over 6 projects. The one-day event, I didn't grab a picture of that yet. It's called Day at the Spa. We'll also be doing that that event here in the store as well. I don't think that can be hosted until after April, so that will be coming soon as well. Your secret word for today is Mrs. Claus. So you now have 3 words. Let me show you how to get those 3 things. Okay, so give me 1 second. Let me pull up the website. One second. You're going to go to materialgirlsquilt.com. If you just go right to search products and type in Poinsettia Jar, it will pop right up, okay? Embroidery design, it's listed at $0. You're gonna add that to your cart. When you add that to your cart, you're gonna see a box that says special instructions for seller. You're gonna put in your 3 words. They can all be on one line. And then you're gonna do a checkout, okay? There's no need to ship anything. It's going to be emailed to you. Once you have checked out, you will, once we receive the order, we review it, the system will then email you we'll email you a link for you to be able to download your design files. Okay? And then you are out and about and ready to start stitching up an entire garden of poinsettias. As a reminder, you need to submit your designs, submit your code words before December 31st, okay? Because after December 31st, the design is no longer free, okay? It's only free until December 31st, and then after that, it becomes a purchasable design from Kimberbell. So don't delay, do it right now if you've collected all 3 words. All right. So just as a reminder, put it in your cart, and then because there's always something on sale, I'm going to give you 15% off all the Kimberbell fabrics that we have in stock. This is valid today through Saturday night. Everything that we have a lot of Kimberbell fabric. I stock all of it. If it is labeled classic on the website, so if you go to the website and you see a design, a pattern you like, and it has the word classic in it, that means it's been retired and it will no longer be available. So if it's a design you like or a color you like, you may want to get a little bit to put in your stash because it's not going to be available when the bolt is sold out. Okay, so that's all the Kimberbell fabrics. There is a link that will be in the design in the video description as well, but you can always go to my website and travel to fabrics and choose Kimberbell, and all her stuff pops up. And I want to thank everyone so much for joining me over the last 3 weeks. I hope that you have learned a little bit of something, that you feel more confident in embroidery, that you've got to learn a few things, and that you are going to start making a plethora of poinsettias that I would love to see. Or if you've done mug rugs, or you have done any of the Kimberbell blanks, or you've made holiday jar toppers, please, please, please share them with us. I love seeing all of the finished projects. I hope everybody has a great rest of their holiday season, and I look forward to seeing you all very soon. Thank you, everyone, and have a great rest of your day.